I'm probably also going to yap to a degree that I'm going to say a lot of dumb shit and just gonna get me into prison, most likely. But, well, that's a problem for later.
Хочется говорить о чем-то максимально неприличном. Хочется.
Обсессии вам нужны. Что вам по обсессиям рассказать? Люблю курить травку. Сильно очень.
Изливать душу дереву, дисплею, фонарю, занавеске — это немного унизительно, это немного странно.
I will appreciate your feedback and opinion. So, all peace, all love.
Bonjour, je suis Samia, j'habite au Maroc et je suis quelqu'un de très très obsessionnel.
И у тебя нет мотивации быть искренним. И перед тобой не сидит человек, ради которого ты можешь быть искренним.
Bonjour, konnichiwa. Rika desu. 日本から来ました。
I'm obsessed with searching of my obsession. Mon œil capte en permanence des reflets dans l'eau, des reflets dans les vitres, dans le miroir. Et c'est une obsession.
Quand je vois un appel ou un message de mon pote très proche, même la famille, je fais exprès de ne pas répondre, même mon copain.
Матча, тирамису.
Transgressive snobism.
Нет, это не обсессия, это глупости какие-то. Нет, это не обсессия.
Warm rain at summer.
Я смотрю Таро Прогноз.
Ugly buildings. Old ones with most dirty facade, kind of like what people call it problem place.
And maybe the weird shoes. Like this.
Жарко вашей будки, ребята, очень. Ну, вроде нормально.
Моя обсессия — это, безусловно, списки. Я составляю списки на день, списки на месяц, списки на на год, списки на неделю, безусловно, списки, что нужно сделать утром, что нужно сделать вечером, списки того, что купить, списки того, что прочитать, списки друзей у меня есть, чтобы не забыть, кто мои друзья.
Je suis tombée dans un univers totalement addictif, qui est celui du tango argentin.
Something that mirrors myself, and I search for it.
I really like it when the bathroom looks perfectly white as it was installed yesterday.
Чистить пол, там вот это все. Я постоянно что-то хочу мыть, я хочу, чтобы был порядок.
Это попытка какого-то контроля над тем, что происходит.
Как бы держать жизнь за вожжи, да, вот чтобы они как бы не распадалось это все.
Я убираюсь даже на отдыхе. Я могу либо полностью отключиться от своих мыслей, либо наоборот о чем-то очень сконцентрированно и сосредоточенно думать, не отвлекаясь на другие мысли.
Well, recently I've been picking up my ballet classes again. It's been a 16-year sabbatical. And this morning I was standing in front of the mirror. I looked at my calves and I saw that they were quite muscular in a very masculine way. I started thinking about sexualization of masculinity within females, and I realized that I've got quite a pair of calves like a bull. And in a way, that phrase got me so interested because it's a bit of a cheeky wordplay to begin with. I realized how we sexualize taking things out of context in a way that if I say that I've got big calves like a Dutch farmer's wife, that sounds like a porn title, basically. And then I started realizing that everything sounds like a porn title if you make enough friction in there. So I think to some degree, there is quite a big obsession with me recently where I realized that there is this massive cognitive dissonance when it comes down to taking things that belong in a certain cultural context and putting them into the other, and the friction that comes with, some similarity with the friction that comes within fetishism, etc., etc.
Тяжело засыпается, если я не посмотрю перед сном что-нибудь историческое из прошлого времени. I would say that my obsession is
living up to a potential that I set for myself and living up to kind of feeling the eyes around me. And so kind of not personal thing that I'm obsessed with, but like the idea of being in my own head and feeling the eyes of other people around me and feeling not just like a judgment, but an expectation, trapped kind of place in the world, being put in this kind of category where I feel like I'm being observed as opposed to like sharing and creating in the space of the world freely and in supportive fashion. So I think that my obsession aligns with being caught up in my own shit, you know? Am I doing enough kind of a thing, as opposed to just moving in my own time. So I think we're trying to get back to that.
今はパリに来て将来フローリストになるための勉強をしています。なので最近夢中になっていることはパリの花屋さんを巡ったり、あとは農園とかを探したりしています。
Люблю стричь очень сильно. Начал заниматься стрижкой в 17 лет. Просто увидел где-то по MTV кого-то с какой-то классной стрижкой и просто пошел, купил себе машинку и пробовал себя также подстричь. В итоге ничего не получилось, пришлось побрить голову на лысо. Вот, и после этого начал стричь и что-то потерял мысль, которую говорил, ну ничего страшного.
Типизирую еду по тому, насколько много она содержит белка.
I just go there and eat one portion of this dessert every day, sometimes two. And I started with the sweets because I think there is the same amount of calories, all the desserts that I consume every day, and alcohol that I was drinking. So maybe at some point I will get back to drinking again.
In Europe, it's tradition to present chocolate eggs. So we presented chocolate eggs for 3 boys. 3 days later, I was in my workflow and I needed some sugar, and I ate it. Then I decided that I'm adult and I can go and buy new chocolate eggs. So I bought and replaced. But then I ate them again and replaced with a new one again.
Мое самое любимое – это заварить лапшу быстрого приготовления, купить бутылочку безалкогольного пива и сникерс, включить второй прогноз на YouTube, сяду, задрав ногу, вот так. И это, пожалуй, лучшее. And I've been trying to build projects out of all these reflection shots that I've been taking over the past 15-20 years.
Être quelqu'un d'obsessionnel avec les choses, avec les passions qu'on peut avoir dans sa vie, fait qu'on respire ça, que tout va tourner autour et que finalement on va créer des choses from nothing, from scratch.
Уже 7 лет я снимаю документальные кадры. Практически каждый день я наблюдаю за людьми.
Моя обсессия в целом люди. Я думаю, я антрополог, поэтому как бы по-другому быть не может. И я очень страдаю от того, что очень часто в общественном транспорте или на улице я начинаю думать о том, что это за человек, и другой человек, переключаюсь моментально на другого, на третьего, на четвертого, на пятого. Я начинаю думать о том, что они ели, какие у них болезни есть, а какие будут, а есть ли у них дети, а был ли у них сегодня секс, а будет ли у них секса, а как этот человек выглядит голым, а есть ли у него кариес и так далее. И это меня убивает, потому что это совершенно... Я не могу, я заставляю себя не думать об этом. Заставляю себя не включаться в какую-то телесность и физиологичность абсолютно незнакомых мне людей, которые просто как бы прошли мимо или сидят напротив метро.
I have to confess to a pretty naughty and disgusting lie that I've been spreading for the past few years. I might risk a bit of a divorce here. So the Arctic Monkeys released a track in 2008 that's called Balaclava, which has this very specific drum solo in it. And delusional as I am, I got quite obsessed with the idea of being able to slam that drum solo on my kitchen glasses. Fortunately, it's been taking me a few years to learn it because I keep breaking the kitchen glasses and get so ashamed about my efforts that I don't try it again for a bit, which has the result that, unfortunately, my loving partner thinks that I break the glasses when I'm doing the dishes. And that's a very, very nasty lie. That's what I've been telling him, because I'm too ashamed to admit that I'm actually a bloody good drummer. That just hasn't been discovered.
Я обычно люблю молчать и смотреть в камеру, а не разговаривать много. Поэтому, может, я вам просто посмотрю.
When I see the wall, I already start to imagine in my head how can I reach the top of this wall. When I think about climbing, I feel really happy.
I seek something that can amaze me with kindness, as simple as it sounds.
The color white for underwear to be extremely interesting. He's got like this pair of, sorry, this is getting a bit TMI, but he's got like this pair of white boxer shorts, and every time when we get out of bed in the morning and he puts it on, you know, deal's done. Like, I hyperfixate on this, which is quite interesting. To what extent a color, white isn't probably a color. I think that graphic design school slapped that notion out of me, unfortunately. But it's quite interesting how, you know, triggered one can become about some signal that is standing for the opposite of what we hang up on it.
Мне очень важно, чтобы майка туго сжимала шею, чтобы ворот был тугим и не расхлябанным, чтобы майка была тяжелой и непрозрачной. Покупайте марку Кемпер. Никакие другие майки не удовлетворят вашего желания иметь тугой ворот.
After that dream, when I woke up, I realized that in my reality, like I'm obsessed with snake.
J'avais envie de rester seul, de déconnecter avec le monde, déconnecter avec tout le monde, déconnecter de tout, de me isoler, pas vraiment dans mon bulle, mais dans ma zone de confort, de parler à personne.
Ну, что еще обсессия? Еще у меня нарциссизм последнего уровня. Я, наверное, не встречал более самовлюбленного человека, чем я. Я не стесняюсь об этом говорить, да, и мне это нравится.
I started to take train from Paris to Suburbia just to explore the real life, the real buildings, the real texture of the life. Sometimes you can find beauty in all of type of the ugliest.
But you know, in Paris, it's really difficult to get an apartment. You know, when you want to rent an apartment in Paris, you need to earn 3 times the rent for this apartment. Completely stupid.
Well, for the bigger part of my life, let's say since I was an 8-year-old, you know, having this dear diary. Today it's the 31st of December, and starting tomorrow I'll finally be a good girl, which we all know didn't succeed that much. Since then I've been using notebooks. They're a very specific 400-page Moleskine.
You want an apartment, for example, 100 square meters, it costs you 4,000. It means that you need to earn 12,000. Who earns 12,000?
Now I have a cold with the pattern of snakeskin and also a lighter. I really love this lighter and I'm trying to keep it. I also have different lighters which I can use more often because I really want to keep this one with snake pattern.
My confession is that I cheated on my salary. I think everybody does this actually. But it's a lie. So a lie is a sin and you're not allowed to. So I cheated on the salaries and let's say that I was earning 15,000. So I was able to rent this apartment for my family.
I prefer having dogs than children because I guess children it's too crazy and too expensive to have it now. For now I have 2 dogs, but I think I'm gonna have 5 because I live not in Paris, I live outside of city. I'm not going to tell where I live, it's incognito, but it's 1 hour outside and I love to go to next to the river with my dog, to let him swim every day, to let him run, let him jump. I love when my dog feel himself like 100% freedom.
Просыпаться по утрам, не чистить зубы и сразу выходить гулять со своей собакой, покупать чашку кофе и чувствовать этот горький запах. I really want to communicate with real snakes, but to do it in a safe space with safe people, and it's like an improvisation. I just want to be with snakes, like close to them, observe, and just try to, I don't know, just to something.
Every day I come up with a new obsession. I watch a video, I see an image somewhere, and I want to know everything about it. This morning, for example, I figured out that there used to be like this massive drama and scandal about the mayonnaise trade. I want to know all about it. Right now I know who was responsible. I know who went to prison for it. When it all, when it all went tits up. But the problem with this kind of information is that I spiral. I'm retouching at home. I spiral. I find out something, I want to know everything about it, I throw it into Google. Google obviously doesn't really give me the results I was hoping for that much because it gives me like useless links about mayonnaise whatsoever. But then you come to Reddit, and in Reddit, that's where you find, like, you grab the subject by the balls in a way, because there's always going to be somebody somewhere over the world who's going to be specifically obsessed about this thing, and that's my favorite kind of epiphany of the day. What I do with that information, though, because I tend to go really deep, and then my client texts me asking me, so when are we going to have the next batch of images? And I forget that I ever figure out the name of the grandfather of the aunt of Hitler's sister.
My obsession is seeking and creating this tone, this particular sensibility that makes me feel like home within myself.
Partir de rien, de cette étincelle qu'on a à l'intérieur de nous qui nous obsède, et c'est ça qui nous emmène. Je suis heureuse d'être une folle ou une génie, comme chacun voudra le mettre comme étiquette sur moi, j'en m'en fous.
I'm quite obsessed with emptying the spirals that I spend the bigger part of my life with, emptying them out on paper, for it feels that I can only make sense of my thoughts when I write them through my hands with a pen, with a very specific Stabilo pen on this very specific paper. Also need to ask my best friend if she can burn these before I die, because, after I die rather, actually. I think that some of the interests could probably get me put in a psychiatric hospital concerning the degree of obsessiveness. That's it. Bye.